talking about January, we're going to have Representative Taylor, who is our state rep, talk to us about what he sees coming up. So thanks for coming.
I want to reiterate a couple things that Melvin said, and I'm also on the Economic Development Committee. I travel around the state with that. And this past session, just a couple of things that sprung out exactly what he said. We were down at Gulfstream in Savannah, which is a premier aircraft manufacturer. One of just a jewel to the state of Georgia. They've got a 7-year backlog of orders. Their average entry-level aircraft is about $65 million. They employ a lot of people. They don't employ a lot of people from Georgia. And at the end of the conversation, their top 3 executives asked, as a state, you've got this beautiful business model, you've got this going on, what can we do? And all 3 of them said, you know, education. We can't hire people from Georgia. They can't find machinists, welders, all that. Kia. Great thing down in Newton, or West Point, LaGrange, yeah, down there. You know, we've got a great program in Georgia called Quick Start, which is trains industrial workers, basically, and selects them for companies that we fund to, and actually a friend of mine, Jackie Rohosky, is the head of that. When I went down to Kia, you cannot believe the number of Alabama license plates in their parking lot. More than half of the people who work there come from Alabama because they cannot hire qualified people from Georgia. So as taxpayers, we're paying to train people from Alabama to work in Georgia. And you know that to me just says it all. Third thing, it goes back to the statewide effect. When I was a co-sponsor of SB 79, which was the bill that allowed the governor to remove the, if he had to remove the Atlanta Public School System Board, I get a whole lot of pushback from people outside the metro area. Why do you want to do this? Well, you know, what does this matter to me? I said, you know, this is huge. This is worldwide news. I mean, I get my sister-in-law in Connecticut saying, what's happening with your school system? It's not my school system, it's Atlanta. If you're from outside of Georgia, if you're from outside of this country, if you're from outside of the state, Atlanta is Georgia. And I'll go to the corporations that are based here. We got the worldwide headquarters of the Intercontinental Hotels Group here. It doesn't say Dunwoody, Georgia. It says Atlanta, Georgia. You got UPS in Sandy Springs. It doesn't say Sandy Springs. It says Atlanta. And when you talk about Atlanta, and it was really an education to me to educate my rural brethren out there that, you know, when you say Atlanta, if you live in Carrollton, that is Atlanta. If you live in Marietta, that is Atlanta. And it affects you statewide from economic development. Back to local control. HR 486, which is a state constitutional amendment that I've dropped last session. We've had one hearing on it. It was pretty well received, except by a couple people who were not receiving it well. And that's what you're going to find. You have a lot of career entrenched, what I'll call educrats that are basically the last thing you hear about from them is the end user, the student. It's, we got to protect this, we got to protect that. We don't have to educate kids, and that's the last thing you hear about. I was disappointed, I leave Nancy out of this, when the governor removed the DeKalb County School Board. Out of the 23-member DeKalb delegation, only 6 of us stood with him in support of that, which means the other folks were satisfied with the status quo, which was failing. That's unacceptable. Again, I'm swinging for the fences here. 486, what it does in effect is allows, a little history here, back in 1983 when they rewrote the Constitution, they said there shall be no more school systems in Georgia. There's 180, which is the 159 counties and 21 city school systems that were grandfathered in. I don't think they contemplated school systems the size, you know, 1 in 10 students in Georgia is in the Gwinnett County school system, 168,000 kids. We've got 100,000. End of the day, we've got great schools here in Dunwoody, but we're part of a system that's failing right now. And it does affect us from an economic development standpoint, because we're looking here, we've got PCID, Dunwoody, great place to live, great place to raise your kids, great place to work. We've got Class A office space, we've got a great city government, we've got a great police force, all the things you'd want for business, until you get down to that checklist for a company relocating. How's your school system? Well, the schools here are great, but our system's on probation. And that's huge. It affects everybody in here's property values. Because you're part of that system, whether our schools are good or not. Anyway, what 486 does is allows, and I've narrowly tailored it because there is a lot of pushback from rural counties. You've got counties out there that have, I've got a friend of mine in the legislature who represents an area down around Okefenokee, right on the Florida border. He's got county school systems with 360 kids K through 12, which is a whole different perspective than we have here. What it does is allows cities that have incorporated since 2005, which would be Sandy Springs, Milton, Johns Creek, Chattahoochee Hills Country, Dunwoody, Brookhaven, to form either standalone, or you can cross even county lines with this to build, say, and I'm just using an example, a Dunwoody, Sandy Springs, Brookhaven cluster, or whatever you want to do with that system. It allows us some flexibility. One of the reasons for that was I really needed the support of the Sandy Springs Mafia and the North Fulton folks to do this, and so and they helped us a lot with our city stuff. And at the end of the day, you know, their quest to be Milton County, one of the biggest chunks of the schools. So I've got a lot of support from up there. The co-sponsors of the bill are some of the smartest people I know. Nancy knows some of the people in this room know. Lynn Riley and Joe Wilkinson from North Fulton. Mike Dudgeon, who is one of the smartest guys I know in education, period, and a big push behind the charter bill that Jan Jones passed. Mike Dudgeon and Buzz Brockway from Gwinnett, and Mike Jacobs and I from DeKalb. What this does is basically allows for a referendum very much analogous to the city, where if we get this passed, it would allow for a referendum in a following year to allow people to consider forming an independent school system. We've got a study going on right now. I think we've got a meeting on Sunday afternoon. Kelly McCutcheon from Georgia Public Policy Institute and Christina Reese, who's the economics professor at Georgia Tech, are doing a study for us. We're going to be presenting the results, Allegra and Washington on Sunday, and we'll probably be reporting that out as soon as we get something definitive. This is the financials and all that we need to do this. It is a high bar. A constitutional amendment requires 120 votes in the House and 2/3 votes in the Senate, supermajorities in both houses. If the cityhood effort was a 7, this is a 10, on a scale of 10. We're going to get some pushback, but I'm swinging for the fences. Right now, we have a supermajority of Republicans in the Senate, and we're one seat shy in the House. I've got several Democrats committed to this bill as well. Don't quite have the numbers yet, but the session again doesn't start until January 13th. End of the day, you know, my theory is like we did with the city and people like Tammy and Rick, and you know, we were down there for 3 years at the Capitol to get the cityhood thing done. Was it worth it? Oh yeah, I think so. You know, I know so. Is this going to be easy? No. But we're swinging for the fences, and my theory has always been, you know, if you can't join them, beat them. And I think this is a great thing for us. Again, I eliminated a lot of the state from this with the 2005 requirement, just because a lot of those folks out in rural areas, the largest single employers that they have in their counties are the school systems. And so they're loath to do anything to shake that up because they have a wife, a daughter, a son, a husband, or all the above that work in that system. So we're going to be moving down the line here, and like I said, we'll get the study probably this Sunday, and we're laying the groundwork for this. I do have a lot of high-level support, and at the end of the day, we're gonna like I said, beat this thing to death. And the big thing, as Melvin, as everybody said, and those of us that were involved in the city effort, you know, having 200 people from Dunwoody in that hearing room is a whole lot different than having, you know, 1 or 2 people and then a room full of paid lobbyists for the education community in there. Because these people are professionals, they do that every day, they're attorneys, they know how to speak, they've got their points down, they spread a lot of money around to legislators. And at the end of the day, that mom standing up and saying, you know, I want change here, and this is why. That's the most effective thing you can do. Like y'all to get behind it, and like I said, I'll keep y'all in the loop. And the beautiful thing about my district is really it's right here, and we're close. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Okay, I think that's our show for today. So thanks for coming out. We did this a little bit different format in the past. It's just been more casual, moms getting together and chatting about issues. We're going to do more coffee talks. We're going to do some in the evening for folks. We'll do some on the weekend so we can capture folks and at different times. So stay tuned for that. Let me know topics that you'd like to cover. If there's anybody you would like to hear speaking, let me know, and we'll make sure we get them on an agenda. So have some cake. Okay, please. Okay, thanks so much for coming. I'm going to be hanging around talking. I think some of our others are as well. So if you have questions, let me know. Okay, thank you.